Okay, and we are back. Now, listen, everybody, it's not that hard. We're here at the Anachronic College of Comic Book Knowledge. Got it? You got it, Gary? You screwed it
Yeah,
up the other night.
got it.
You were my person there. So here we are. We're at the Anachronic College of Comic Book Knowledge, where we have an applicant, which we'll get to in a second. And the applicant's job is to get 5 questions right on a topic that the applicant picks and make their way to a PhD, a Doctor of Comicsology. If they do that, they win $50 for their favorite charity. And today's applicant is someone you probably never knew, never heard of, and don't know much about. He is Cliff on Comics. Cliff, let me make you big. Tell us a little bit about yourself, big man. As soon as I could do this. All right, here we go. So what's going on, Cliff? Long time no see.
I know. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I was so happy you dropped by Tuesday, and you're even going to appear in a future skit. I'm very excited.
Yeah, they got me into the skit, which will be shown in a couple of weeks, I'm told. So that could be kind of good. Actually, it wasn't me. It was Bruno was in the skit.
Yes,
So.
Bruno was doing good. Bruno was doing really good. You know. So where do we start? Okay, so for this realm of the comic book community, I emerged sometime last year around this time because we were not intersecting, you know. So and then it was like, where did you come from? And I was like, I've been doing this for like a really long time, you know. Like I had a podcast about the Versus System playing card game, not the current version, the original, which featured Marvel and DC characters, which had a set based on the Legion of Superheroes and battling Darkseid, which of course I love that. And then after that, I did a show called Read, Watch, Play, which was me and another friend of mine named Anthony, who worked at a store upstate, and we would go and film in the store upstate once a week and talk about what we read and what movies we watched. And we did an MCU recap. We went to New York Comic Con in 2017 together. I got to interview the entire cast of The Tick. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And like, so, you know, I've been around. I've been doing this. I'm older than I look, thanks to not having kids. So
you keep saying that
because it's true.
No, because that means I'm old.
I have a kid, and I don't think I look my age.
Gary, how old are you?
54.
I am 46. Does this what math adds up here? I'm right. All right. Not having children maintains your youth.
Wait a minute. How old am I? And I have 2 kids.
You're 76?
No. See?
Oh, he's 73.
I look 76? Get out of here. No more Cliff.
Actually, I was guessing, but you look really good. And when I was holding you and young Joe at the same time, you both have excellent shoulder dimples. I was very impressed.
I know. Well, I work out, you know. So.
Yeah, and it was very funny because like I'm holding my Joey and I'm holding him, and I was like, "Oh look!" I was like the new model. I was like the prototype in the original.
So
I was like, "What?"
Well, so you were like in a Joe sandwich.
I was in a Joe sandwich, and let me tell you, I didn't hate it. I do love the Italian combo. It's very good.
Yes.
But we're getting away from me and my love of comics. So I started reading comics, like officially, like seriously, like I want to buy comics and read comics. Was around 7 years old. At 2 years old, I discovered Superman on television. But at 7 years old, it's like I want comics. I want to read them. And then like at 10, I was like really serious and like, what's this? What's that? Why is this guy Superboy? Why is he not Superboy? Why is this Green Lantern totally different than that Green Lantern? That's when it all started really happening. So yeah, I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. At one point, I even owned a shop for a year, and like most people, that shop opened and closed in 1 year. You know, such are the times.
So Cliff, the comic book community here is like a series of multiverses, you see. And so, you know what, if there are different multiverses, that's nice. Different multiverses that are there.
Yes.
We still can't see it. You need something in the back. You need something darker so we can see the white.
Something darker.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But you were saying, Joe, like multiverse.
No, I'm saying it's like it's like a multiverses or different levels, because you've got some people that kind of have a particular group that are together, other people like that, and then suddenly they kind of intersect, and then you're able to go from one Earth to the other Earth simply by,
Well, let me tell you, I am an Earth crasher. So like I feel like a Legionnaire very much. Like gregarious, party crasher. Very gay and whimsical. I just feel like a Legionnaire. So yeah, I feel like what is the expression is usually like I don't want to be part of any club that would have me as a member, but also at the same time you won't ignore me.
Also, you're hard to ignore.
So you will not have me as a member, but I will show up. I'm like,
so that means you go clubbing a lot. Is that what you're saying?
I'm doing what a lot?
That means you go clubbing a lot?
No.
Oh.
No, he's old now.
Yeah, I'm old now, listen, I gotta save, I'm single. I gotta save my strength for single activities.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
with that being said, Cliff, let's say hi to the chat. If they're still here. We have Brian LCS. How you doing, Brian? Nice to have you here. Spine Ticks. He always stops by to say hi. All right. And I've been making, he gets on at 11 p.m. Saturday night because he's out on the West Coast. And I've been managing the last couple of weeks to stay up until about midnight to watch some of his show. So that's been kind of good. It's an interesting show. We have Psychedelic Comics. We have Paul. Paul, thanks for showing up tonight. Doug Bratton, my New Jersey bro. Good to see you, Doug. Let's see. Digger Jim. Yeah, Digger. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, Trigger Jim.
Great guy.
Welcome.
Spidey's Powered Tumbler. It's a new one for me. Is that a friend of yours? Is that from your...
Jose. He's great.
Jose. He's great.
Oh, yeah?
By the way, I think Jose sent me an A-OK. Like the other day, there was something in my DMs. I was like, oh, okay. And then like this thing, this box that like I could barely move is waiting for me at the door. So we'll probably see that tomorrow on. And
he is a big community supporter, and everyone should go sub up to his YouTube channel and follow him on Instagram. This is from Jose's Powdered Tumblers.
Oh, nice.
I have a previous AOK from Jose that I never got to make a video for because even though this room
you hate him?
I'm sorry, is this SWAT questions again? I love Jose. This room may look like it's like the party is happening, but it is a nightmare. So like my house, this whole situation has been an absolute not a complete nightmare, but nightmare scenario. Right. And it just his stuff showed up. I also got something from Burke Family that I won, and they all came together, and I never had an opportunity to properly make a video for that stuff, and I just feel so bad. It's just like this little window.
You're just a terrible person,
Yeah. But I love him. He is wonderful. He's.
Derry thinks it's an Amanda Waller quiz. That would be interesting.
Well, because he is Trigger Jim, and Trigger Jim knows that I can only be triggered by mentioning Amanda Waller.
Your favorite, right?
And they really nailed her characterization in the movies, right, Cliff?
You're
welcome, Jim.
I thought the Suicide Squad anime nailed her characterization with that seductive dance in the credits.
I haven't seen that whole thing yet. I've only gone through a few of the chats. So I haven't seen the dance yet. So, but now I've got something.
Well enough now to know some trigger points on them.
Joe, you will not be the same when you see the Amanda Waller dance.
Okay.
You will be like, what is happening?
Carlito, clásico, ¿cómo estás? Good to see you. All right. So now that we've gotten through the introductions.
Was that? Did I do the whole introduction? Okay.
Whoa, you want to say more?
I don't even know. There's so much to say. I'm a Superman fan. By extension, I'm a Legion fan. I ended up loving all sorts of comics. I've lost my mind. Look at me with my own wall of freaking graded stuff now. I don't know. I'm all over the place. Welcome aboard.
Well, one thing that I find to be of real interest, because being an anachronist, my mind is in the 60s and 70s still, right? So that's why I rely on like you guys and Gary and Chuck for all this kind of history type of stuff. Because anything I show on my channel, you see, is always, let's go back to 1940 and let's see how this character began, and just bring the stuff up there. So I was a big Legion fan as a kid. I used to buy Adventure Comics for Superboy, was on there on the cover. And I used to read the Legion stories as well. But following that and actually doing some research for some of the questions here, I just realized that the Legion has been really somebody's beat up baby. They've been they've had good runs, it seems, which I might now delve into. I'll see if they are on DC, whatever it's called, the DC Online thing, and see if I can read some of them.
Plenty on the DC Online.
Yeah. And I try to read some of the ones that seem to be really done well. But there's so much there. And it's one of those comic books that, to me, it seems it's so rich for the possibility of either animated or live action type of stuff. And they just don't deal with it. Like, I won't get into some of the others at this point, since we're talking Legion. And Legion of Superheroes is the topic that Cliff has picked. But before I get into the questions, Cliff, tell us a little bit about your charity that we have, and I'll bring it up for us here.
So I'm involved in multiple charities, but I've chosen today the Hyde Park Food Pantry because I have been going to them on Fridays, taking clients of mine who do not have access normally to a local food pantry. And all that's required is that you live within the Hyde Park Central School District, not even Hyde Park, New York itself, and you are able to make 2 trips to the food pantry each month. And they keep your information in their database, and when they welcome you, they let you know exactly what they have available that day, whether it's a variety of meats that you can take home and cook, bread donations from ShopRite, pastry donations from ShopRite. If you ask for snacks, they bring you snacks. There's stuff that's limited on the tables outside that you can hand pick and put in a bag for yourself, while the other staff goes inside the building and does the shopping for you based on what you requested, and puts 2 or 3 bags, sometimes 4 bags of groceries together for you to take home. So I absolutely love them. And they are shout out to Leslie, who's running this, and they are partnered with the Hyde Park Community Garden. And the Community Garden is another nonprofit in which they're connected, and they try to grow local fruits and vegetables that they can contribute to sources like the Hyde Park Food Pantry. And with any financial donations that they receive, they use that money with their ShopRite partner so that they can buy things that they do not have access to from other local farmers through ShopRite. So they are super fabulous. I can't say enough good things about what they're doing for the community. And that's it. That's why I wanted to be here tonight.
It's fantastic. And food pantries, we have a couple of them around here too, which we've helped to support. Because there are a lot of people, you don't realize that, really, especially with the cost of food nowadays. I went out shopping for the first time. My wife usually goes out and does the shopping. I go with her, but I don't pay attention. So I went out there to buy some stuff, and I called up and goes, "Is this how much this costs?"
Yeah.
And so it really is helpful. And just so people know, I mean, we show these things off, and if you have any inkling to throw a couple of bucks their way, you can certainly do that. If you want, on the Instagram ad for this particular show, where you see Cliff's beautiful face there, and we mentioned the show is going on tonight, there is a way for you to donate a few dollars also. So up to you, fully, volunteer, but I just want to know that it is available either by going to the website or by going to that IG thing. And if you want to throw a couple of bucks their way, believe me, it's something that really, really is helpful. I just know from personal experience in doing some of the stuff from around here. So thanks, Cliff. I think that's a great charity. Let's see. We have Rod the Rican is here. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Been a while.
Boricua in the house. Keep it together. All right.
And Brian wants us to remind everybody that tomorrow is the last day to nominate in the CBC Awards. Okay?
Just remember, my channel has under 1,000 subscribers, and my channel is home not only to me, but Comics and Coffee with Cliff in the morning on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Tomorrow, Bleecker Street Comics will be my guest. Looking forward to it. Also, I'm a member of the Council of Comics, which is a community panel, situation. Also under 1,000. Totally available. Just saying, throw a nomination our way. But no, go do what you want. It's all about the community.
All right. I forgot who goes first now, Gary.
I'm 1 and 3.
You're 1 and 3. Thank you for your money. I just got blown out. That's all right. Okay, so let's get started. So Legion of Superheroes is the title. Now, just let me remind you, Cliff, although I'm sure that you know the answers to all these questions, that you may ask the chat or use the chat as a lifeline and ask for some help. The chat is allowed to use any kind of research that they need to get you there. So if I was somebody in the chat now that was a friend of yours, I would probably go at least on Wikipedia right away, have it ready. So if there's a need, you can go there and potentially get an answer correct right away, or fandom or one of those things like that. Okay.
Yes.
So hint. All right. So the question will come up. If you watched the show before, you see the question will come up. Gary, you're doing 1 and 3, you said?
Yep.
So Gary will read the first question. We'll give you an opportunity to provide the answer, and then we'll run the rest of the video. We'll see whether the answer is correct or not. We'll make sure that you are giving the final answer each time. Ready? Question number, no, and it's $5 for each question answered correctly for the Hyde Park Food Pantry. But if you get all 5 correct, it's $50. We double it. All right.
I watched 4 episodes today of this, and now that I'm here, I'm like, please walk me through everything. My mind is blank.
All right, here we go. Question number 1.
In Adventure Comics, issue 247, April from 1958, Superboy met 3 teenagers from the 30th century who were members of the Legion of Superheroes. What were their names?
Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, Cosmic Boy.
Now, we'll probably let that work.
Oh, I'm sorry. Garth Rons, Imra Ardeen, and Rock Kryn.
That's even better.
There you go. And
that was what I was aiming at, but that's
Superboy,
okay.
Kal-El of Krypton, Clark Kent of Earth. I got it covered, baby.
There you go. All right, well done. So you got that right. All right, so
The classic cover.
I remember when that comic book came out, and I think I've got it somewhere. I told Cliff that I was going to bring him some of my old Legion things, but I can't find it because I only have half of my comics organized.
Joe, didn't you just miss an animation there?
Did I?
You didn't do the question right animation.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. Well, let me see.
No, we know it's right.
Go back here quickly. Yeah, what were their names? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I'm not sure what you're referring to.
I thought you did. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had animations after each one before.
I was like correct.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No.
No, I did that the first show or so, but it was such a pain in the ass. I decided I wasn't going to do it anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, the thing about it is, Cliff, what I was driving at was in that first issue, his name was not Lightning Lad.
Oh,
His name was Lightning Boy.
that is true.
But I'm going to let that slide. His name was Lightning Boy. They changed it to Lightning Lad just for the alliteration purposes, I suppose.
Yes.
You know, like that.
I think you should dock from 250.
It became a whole thing for Superboy because like everyone I know has LLs in my life. There's a Lana Lang, and I met this young girl named Lois Lane once, and Lex Luthor, and Lightning Lad, and Lightning Lass. Superboy's like going through this whole thing.
Yeah, what's her name? I don't know.
Lori
Lemaris, but that was college.
Yeah,
Just saying.
So I started collecting all of those because this would be a cool video to make. And there were so many friggin' ones there. I said to myself, what am I going to do with this thing? So I got this mess of information. And I'm saying, I'm not sure what to do with this stuff here, because it was like, I don't know how many I had, like 50 or something of them.
I was going to say, you could do a whole video on alliteration. That's just that.
Yeah.
What I was thinking of, what do you think about this, Cliff? I was thinking of actually making up a song.
I don't know if I have the strength for that. You know, I mean, it already took me everything I had 9 months ago to come up with one line of a song for Whack Comics. So
that was funny. Yeah, it sounds like it, right? All right. So you got $5.
There we go.
You're a big spender here. Very good. All right. So somebody's going to get some food for that. All right. So Professor Chuck Hensey will be reading the second question for you. So here we go.
All right. So after being rejected from membership in the Legion, 5 superpowered teens joined together to form their own group in Adventures Comics 306 in March 1963. What name did they use?
I believe we're talking about wait a second. Ooh. The Legion of Substitute Heroes.
You mentioned them when I visited you.
I was holding the Legion of Substitute Heroes special when
You were holding it up, and I said, "Oh, that's one of the questions. He's got it."
Now, Cliff, are there any other Legion of subs, any subs listed that were also members that are not necessarily listed in that initial 5? I'm just asking out of curiosity. So,
Night Girl would eventually become a member. Polar Boy would eventually become a member and team leader. And although I defend that he was not an awful team leader, but he was a team leader during one of the most awful periods of Legion history. All the subs in the Jeff Johns story became Legionnaires pretty much. So that was like fun. Night Girl, it becomes Cosmic Boy's girlfriend and wife. So like that's like a whole thing. So she's in 2 versions of the Substitute Heroes, and eventually becomes a Legionnaire because she pairs very well with Shadowlass because she gets her powers from the dark, and Shadowlass can do that all the time.
Now my favorite Cliff, I think if I remember his name correctly, was it Rock Boy or
Stone Boy?
Stone Boy, right? Stone Boy. Yeah. And tell us about his power, because I just loved it.
Well, he can turn himself into, impenetrable stone. But the thing is once he's stone, he kind of forgets to snap out of it.
Yeah, and he can't move. He just stays.
Yeah, he's just there, So
not like some of the other people I know who get stoned. So,
this is kind of worse. So, but similar. Maybe that's what they were thinking.
Yeah. Now, there was a girl I've heard of called Infectious Lass. Was she a sub or was she a main?
She's a sub.
Okay.
And then, of course, when we meet her again in the Jeff Johns story, Action Comics Superman the Legion, she's got more control over her powers.
Okay.
But because of her weird powers, she is the reason that Rainbow Kid becomes Rainbow Lass.
Okay, sure.
You can't move. That's right, Digger.
And also Dr. 13, when he goes on his own little adventure and he's got a mini series out there, she joins Dr. 13 on his adventure.
That's actually where I saw her the first time. Yes.
Okay.
On that story. So.
All right. And with that said, Cliff, you're up to $10. Now, Gary, I don't know if you saw this thing from Taylor.
I wasn't.
Yeah. He doesn't know much about DC.
Yeah, Gary works very difficult hours, so I'm just going to allow that to be his excuse.
I'm wide awake. I was actually answering a message. I knew Cliff was going to talk for a minute, so I knew I had time.
All right, Professor Gary is up for question number 3. Are you ready, Cliff?
I am ready.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm hard for you too, Matt.
The Legion at its height in popularity during the Levitz run in the early 1980s. However, its popularity declined after Crisis on Infinite Earths. Why? So it was at its height in popularity during the Levitz run. Why did it decrease in popularity after Crisis?
Chat, you're gonna have to help me out because I only have one theory and it's weak.
Well, think about this, Cliff. When Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, what major character was retconned out of existence?
Well, yeah, and they really had to work on that. All right, so I'm going with the fact that after Crisis on Infinite Earths, Superman was no longer Superboy. Then they had to retcon why they ever met a Superboy. Then they kind of had to retcon that Supergirl didn't exist because she didn't exist in the new continuity. And this was like a whole thing. And also, I don't know, like that. My first exposure to Legion is that Time Trapper story. And so, but I can see why that's a huge turnoff for a lot of people with the whole death of Superboy. And Superboy only existed in a pocket universe that the Time Trapper saved.
Yep, the Legion was inspired by the original Superboy who was retconned out of existence.
Yes.
What I understood from reading through this stuff is that it was that Paul Levitz was really going hot and heavy, and it was one of the best-selling books. And when they did this to him, they had to go through all these different things that you mentioned, Cliff, to try to kind of fix it. Because suddenly, Superboy wasn't there anymore. Supergirl had died. And then they said, well, we knew Supergirl was going to die. So because we were in the future, and we knew that was, I mean, it was like just a complete mess. You know?
But Supergirl was going to turn out to be Censor Girl. Paul Levitz wanted to save her and have her be Censor Girl. So the early appearances of Censor Girl, she's got X-ray vision and heightened super senses because, of course, she's a shell of her former self. But they ultimately had to retcon that. And then, of course, the whole Who is Censor Girl saga takes place. And they battle it out with the Fatal Five. And then there's a big reveal. And I love it. But yeah, the whole thing with Superboy was a lot. And it just kept coming back to bite them. So when Keith Giffen takes over for Legion and it's the 5 year later storyline, issue 4, not issue 1, issue 4 is a reboot because Mon-El, Superboy's adopted brother from who's a Daxamite who spent 1,000 years or so in the Phantom Zone, he confronts the Time Trapper, and the Time Trapper's like, you won't defeat me because if you do, you lose everything I ever gave you. You know?
So he had that pocket universe or something he put together,
exactly.
Right?
I saved that pocket universe. I gave you Superboy. You know? You lose all of that. And Mon-El was like, I guess I do. And then just boom, just took him out. And everything fades to black. And then issue 5, it's 5 years later, and this is the new status quo.
Wow.
Very good, Cliff. So that was it. So,
30-minute diatribe.
I don't know if it was a diatribe, Taylor. You know?
30 minutes.
Anyway, all right. So you're up to $15, Cliff. You're doing well. Even though I saw you took a little bit of you sat back in your chair like that. You know, you went, well, I don't know.
Well, because
I think he was just adding some drama to the show, Joe.
He's just flexing. That's all.
Like, I would have never known that Legion was taking a serious dive because there were great stories that took place, you know, including that whole thing with there was a secret group of Legionnaires, and that secret group wanted to go to the end of time to battle the Time Trapper.
Right.
They wanted revenge, and it was great. You know?
But the fact of the matter is that the sales really started to plummet, and that was kind of the end of the run. And then Levitz left anyway.
It's so dumb. They should have left if they want Superman. There's so many things that DC was like, no, we can't have it. They would not allow John Byrne to make Power Girl Superman's cousin, right? Which dumb. Okay, they should have let him have that. No, he's got to be the last son of Krypton, right? He could not grow up being Superboy because that was lame. I mean, there's so many things, and look, and we keep trying to put it back. We keep trying to put it back.
Yeah, I agree with you. They just tried.
I
want to get into what they're doing now because I know you're not a big fan of absolute power.
You mean absolute garbage? Yes, I understand. Although issue 2 was, listen, Mark Waid is a very good writer, and he's doing marvelous work with the pile of trash that he has to fix and work with. But he's doing nice work. He's doing nice work.
Well, I will be reading some of them online and seeing how it works out. We'll see how that works. All right, so you're up to $15. We're up to question number 4.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
Ready, Chuck?
All set. So in Adventure Comics 304 from January 1963, the death of a main character was the first for mainstream comics. Who bought it?
Adventure Comics 304. And I feel like this picture is a giant hint.
Hint.
Because right. Because Legion is known for killing off some mains. So I'm going with Lightning Lad. Because this shot is from the Resurrection. Right,
and then he actually came back to life about 5 issues later, right?
Yes.
And this is actually the funny thing about it. When he died, that was a secondary story to Superboy, so there was no cover.
There's no cover of him dying.
But this is how they brought him back to life, you know. Yes. And Monel actually figured out how to do it, but somebody else had to die.
Yes.
They used Harry Potter ones.
And Saturn Girl
Jumper Cables
wanted to die because Lightning Lad died saving Saturn Girl. But what happened, Cliff?
But Prody, who is a shape-changing Legionnaire super pet, let's call him, like he's Chameleon Boy's super pet, right? Prody shapeshifted into Saturn Girl and took her place and died in her place so that Lightning Lad could live.
And Prody has never been brought back to life as far as I know.
No, but we got Prody 2 later on.
Okay, got Prody 2.
So Uncle Ben and Prody stay dead.
Well, you know, the poor little protoplasm. What can I tell you? But good on you, Prody. Good on you.
Yes. It's funny when I read this and I was coming up with a question, I go, I remember Prody. All right.
Prody's great.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So you're up to $20. 4 questions, 4 correct answers, $20 for the Hyde Park Food Pantry. Now, Cliff, is where the real, tension grows in this show, But we're here to teach. We're here to help. It is the Anachronic College of Comic Book Knowledge. So people attend here in the chat to learn. And so right now, that's right. Right now, if you get this one right, the Hyde Park Food Pantry will not get $25, but will get $50. So I'm sure you'll do well, but if you don't worry about it. Okay, just don't worry about it.
I'm still worried about it. I'm still worried about it.
All right, I'm going to do this one for you, Cliff. You ready?
Okay.
I actually, the funny thing about it is I think this is the easiest question.
Okay.
So, question number 5. The story in Adventure Comics number 346 from July of 1966 was written by a 14-year-old boy who also did the interior pencils. Hint, he later became an editor at Marvel. What is his name?
Jim Shooter. Good Lord. And I brought him up at the shop too because I
know
such a convoluted emotional reader relationship with him.
There he is with his sister.
Yep.
His sister was good looking. Look at her. She's cute.
Well, someone has to be good looking in that family because look at this.
I know. I spoke to him a couple of years ago at New York Comic Con, and at first I didn't know it was him. And I said, "Oh, it's James Shooter." And
Which version of him did you get?
There was no one around.
Super tall.
There was no one around.
Yeah,
So I spoke to him for a few minutes.
He can easily be a very divisive gentleman.
When I met him, he was nice.
No, I'm sure you got that.
He was nice then too. It was very nice.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, because you know who I am, I got provocateur Jim, right? So that only went one way.
And I got him to sign 2 Dazzler books for me.
On the other hand, maybe it went better for me than my encounter with Jared Leto. I don't know. I guess.
Before you get to that, if you're going to talk about that, let me do the requirement here so everybody knows what the win was. Hold on. You had to get the cheers. You had to get the cheers. So $50 for the Hyde Park Food Pantry. Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. I'm so and not only that, Cliff, you are now a doctor of comicsology, and so we always ask the new doctors how they want to be addressed going forward in the future. Do you want it to be Dr. Cliff, Dr. Cliff on comics, Dr. Cliff NY?
I think since I'm Dr. Cliff, since I'm Cliff on comics, I feel the only appropriate title is Dr. Cox.
Dr. what?
Dr. Cox.
COC, Cliff on Comics, COCS.
Okay.
There's a Dr. Cox on Scrubs.
Oh yeah.
My favorite comedy of all time.
One of my favorite as well.
No, it's just the best.
I'm not calling it the best, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay. So Cliff, how did you become like a big fan of the Legion of Superheroes? And do you have any suggestions for people that are here? And one thing we want to do is tell people that if they are interested in the Legion, what they might want to read.
All right. The most pivotal Legion story, because they battled Darkseid, would be the Great Darkness Saga. The only problem with the Great Darkness Saga is even though it's super epic, you're not quite invested in the Legionnaires. You know, like they're the stars of the story, but like if you've never met them before, what do you know? So I always feel like we can go deep. You know, we can go back and just read some of the classics. You know, there's a lot of spotlight issues. You know, here's issue 283 is a spotlight on Wildfire.
Paul is asking if the Legion is still around.
They are around. Currently, the Jeff Johns version is back, and they're on the pages of Justice Society of America.
Okay.
So you can go and enjoy Justice Society of America and all of the interdimensional time travel hijinks of that series and see what drew the Legion into conflict with the JSA. This issue's a great issue. Focusing on Cosmic Boy. You could tell these are all my recent dollar deep dives, right? But one of the things I love about this is the Legion is holding someone hostage, and he actually uses the power of magnetism to torture them. I love that. All right, this issue of Legion of Superheroes leads into the Great Darkness Saga, but is also the first appearance and introduction of Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld.
What number is that, Cliff?
Yeah. This is issue 298. Mm-hmm. And then here's issue 299, where the new Invisible Kid is confronted with the ghost of the original Invisible Kid. And then we get the 300th issue. And look, there's Brody 2 at the bottom taking the photo. And then here's issue 301. And if this cover looks familiar, it's an homage to Adventure Comics 300, in which Mon-El is freed from the Phantom Zone and joins the Legion of Superheroes. And jumping ahead to issue 302, it's Lightning Lord versus Lightning Lad. Lightning Lord is the older brother of Lightning Lad and Lightning Lass. And of course, I love the Fatal Five, and there's Supergirl and the Legionnaires battling the Fatal Five. There's the freaking Emerald Empress and the Eye. 304 is the reintroduction of the Legion Academy. So Bouncing Boy is their trainer, as well as the high school damsel who's not on the cover. Power Boy is here before we find out that he's gay. Cosmic Kid, the younger brother of Cosmic Boy, is here. Lamprey is here. And up flying over here is Laurel Kent, the alleged descendant of the House of L. So again, time travel shenanigans. She's often the descendant of Clark Kent. However, in Millennium, during the Millennium crossover with the Manhunters, we find out that she's a defunct Manhunter who activates in the 30th century. But again, reboot, and we have Laurel Kent, who actually is a member of the House of L in among the many reboots of the future. Issue 306 is a spotlight on Starboy, and it's a great issue for you to get to know him because he's part of the Starman legacy, and he's featured heavily in the Jeff Johns run of JSA, the original JSA run.
And he was in JLA a couple times too.
Even JLA a couple times.
Yeah.
Issue 307, The Prophet. The Prophet is introduced. This person is ushering in the darkness, which of course is going to be Darkseid. And then more of that. Then the Omen shows up. I mean, like, and the Legion are just getting their butt handed to them, and they don't even understand what's happening. You know, the Dark Circle shows up, and this is one of Supergirl's last team ups with the Legion. And when she leaves at the end, like, Brainiac 5 is like devastated, and that's all the reader is given, is that he's just like, oh, we can never be together. And then like one more just to like, well, also a great time to pick up on the Levitz run, Legion of Superheroes #1. And also Legion of Superheroes Annual #5. So that's Darkseid in the background, and the Legion is fighting Validus, right? We find out that Validus of the Fatal Five, who the Legion have battled for years, is actually the child of Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad that Darkseid kidnapped from them during the Great Darkness. So phenomenal. And then
there's a big rich history here.
There's a very rich history, and Darkseid has really put the screws to them, and I just feel like that's like amazing, and not enough writers care about it. This is Legion of Superheroes #7 from that last Levitz run, and the only reason that I'm holding this up that's important is because it came from the Silver Snail. And I'm trying to get it to focus.
Yeah, we see it.
All right.
Do not open this bag, it says.
Right. I got this from the Silver Snail as a kid in Ottawa, and they are long closed. And this is one of the few books that I have to remind me of that time going there with my grandfather and my mom and just hanging out and buying comics.
Oh, that's cool.
So that is why I showed that to you. If you want to get to know other incarnations of the Legion, this is from 30 years ago. This is the Legionnaire reboot that took place right after 0 Hour. This is book 1. A lot of people call this the Archie Legion because of the style of the book. But it is a lot of fun. And then if you want to have more fun, Cabinet and Lanning worked on Legion of Superheroes together, and they came out with Foundations, in which Connor Kent is dragged to the future to join the Legion of Superheroes, and Foundations is actually this version of the Legion battling Darkseid in their version of the Great Darkness Saga. So I feel like I've given you all a little bit of everything on the Legion of Superheroes. The floor is now open for questions.
Well, last question for you that I have, and I'll let if Chuck and or Gary have a question. But if you had your way in the DCU now, in James Gunn's DCU, how would you bring the Legion into the DCU? I mean, chances are they're not going to have their own. And knowing James Gunn, you don't know, but chances are they wouldn't have their own movie or TV show necessarily. And he's building. But they could potentially become some kind of guests or teased in some way. Do you have any idea of how you might want to bring them into the DCU?
I have several ideas. Number 1, they simply show up to recruit Supergirl. Okay. Number 2, they show up because Booster Gold has one of the stolen flight rings, which is comic accurate. So they've come to beat his ass and take the flight ring. I think it's great. And Bleeker's here. Mwah, Bleeker. We will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, my show is censored, so we will be getting into nerd holes and more. Because uncensored, it's uncensored. So put the children away.
So tell everybody when your show is tomorrow.
It's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Comics and Coffee with Cliff. And now, usually my shows don't get too out of control, but it's Bleeker, so I intend to push the limit.
Well, let me correct you. Let me correct you because it's going to be Eastern Daylight Time. We don't want people to be like an hour late.
It's EST. If you Google New York EST, it will give you 10 a.m. Okay? I don't have time for daylight savings, non-daylight savings, British Standard Time, early British Standard Time, daylight savings Australia. No, I'm just doing what it is.
If you put on the notification bell, it won't matter. It'll tell you when it's coming out in your region.
Exactly. But you know what? Let's be fair. Let's be honest. YouTube and a notification bell really have there's a real animosity there. Like there's like a real problem. Like that notification bell just sometimes just does not want to give it up.
So, Cliff, besides your Saturday show, which I usually tune in a little bit to watch a little bit, Saturday's a little bit difficult for me, but I try to stop by for a few minutes.
Well, that's why the rewatch is available.
Yeah, right. Okay. But that being said, what other shows do you have on your channel that are,
of course, you can always catch me and the Council of Comics, now also featuring C-Bizzle. You can catch us Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we cover the box office and whatever movies we're doing a rewatch of. Currently, we're doing a rewatch of The Hangover, and then we'll announce our next trilogy that we're rewatching this year, which, of course, was my choice, and I'm very proud. After that, on Monday nights, you can catch us for New Keys and Hot Comics of the Week. That's every Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, Sleeper Reader. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Wednesdays, you can catch us doing New Comic Book Day live, because it used to not be live, but now it is. And we incorporate our sketches and our picks into it, and we go over whatever Cover Price is talking about this week and how we feel and, which comics we'd remortgage the house for. And then the rest of the time, you can find me all over YouTube. Sometimes I'm with, Comiverse on Sundays. Sometimes I jump on with Durs right after the Council on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes you'll find me with Mad Spidey on Saturday nights around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't remember what time it is in Australia, but it's way earlier for him. He's sitting in sunlight. Sometimes you'll find me just on someone's channel, just some night in the evening. I just appear. And I'm just there, and I'm just trying to share my love with the community.
So let me say I had a really good time with you and the rest of the people at the comic book shop up there in Hyde Park, and and I will be on Council of Comics as part of one of the skits. Actually, Bruno will be part of it. I'm told it may be the last week of the month, but I'm not sure yet. So you're gonna have to watch.
Right, because we are taking 1 week. The 1 week we have a break. But I got to tell you, Bruno and Sam Duvall are separated at birth, and I think it's hilarious.
I like the guy. I felt like we should do something more dramatic together, because I think it would work out okay.
Listen, I was gonna say, if you're around, if you're still around before, just let us know if you got one more trip left in you before you head back. We'll plan something, because I feel like the two of them will work together on something sinister. It'd be great.
That'd be great. So, Gary, what do you got coming up, my friend?
So next week we have Jason Douglas back on the show, promoting his Kickstarter for Jane America. So just a great book, and he actually was the first guest I ever had on a live show. On my first live show was Jason Douglas. So he's been a constant on the channel. Also, K-pop Junkie will be Katie will be joining me that night as well. Mm-hmm. So always great to have
Queen of Kickstarters,
right? And for any of you out there that aren't subbed to K-pop Junkie, she's criminally undersubbed. Go sub her up. And then, of course, on the 15th, we have Dom from Rhinos Comics coming on to do the second version of an action figure 1011.
I think that's the young guy that I met when I was there, right? He's a young guy.
Yeah, he's pretty young. Yep.
Yeah.
He's like 21.
Yeah. He's
probably 19 when you met him.
Probably, yeah. 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 All right. Hey, Chuck, do you have anything scheduled? You're going to be on my channel for sure once I get the dates straight.
I'm sure I will be. Right now, I don't have a whole lot scheduled. So you may see me pop up in a couple different places. If I ever get a chance, I'd like to do a movie review or two before the summer's out because I've seen some really good movies this summer. Some that I think that are worth talking about. And also been trying to catch up on some classic ones on my own too, which has been nice.
That's
So
great.
I might be able to emphasize the pop culture side of the comics and pop culture for a little while, which would be nice. But we'll see what comes up in the next week or two. So
Okay. For me, I'm going to have some shorts up next week, but next Friday is going to be my and my wife's 43rd wedding anniversary.
Woo!
So we're planning a bunch of thank you. We're planning a bunch of different things. So I'm focusing in on my better half, as they say, during next week. If I can get something together this weekend, we'll show something next week. But I'm also working with the guys, and we're trying to put together a show. Usually the last Friday of the month is the comic book crowd, and we're kind of coming up with some potential topics for that and so forth. And if we can get it together in time, we will definitely have another edition of the comic book crowd. We have a bunch of different topics that we can choose from. We have one from Gary as well.
Oh
so
yeah,
we gotta get a hold
what
of
did I submit? That had to be a while ago.
It was a while ago, but I keep an ongoing list, Gary. Anybody comes up with a particular topic, I just put it on the list, and we won't show that. We won't do that one unless you can be there, obviously. But that'll be the case. So we'll do that. So let me say thank you to Cliff. Congratulations on $50 for the Hyde Park Food Pantry. There you go. All right, and don't forget, if you can see yourself, this is food for people who need the nourishment, need the food. If you see yourself, if you think you can give a few dollars to them, you can just go on the website. I'll put the link in the description. Or if you go on IG and go to my page, the ad, which Cliff was just showing, we're going to start doing this going forward. You can also donate by going to the ad. There's a little line at the bottom. They automatically put $100 down as the goal, but there's really no goal. The goal is for you to consider maybe giving a few dollars to them to help them out. All right. Thank you, Professor Gary, Professor Chuck. I really appreciate you all the time. Thanks again, everyone in the chat, for showing up. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching this again. You got to watch it because Cliff is a hoot. So you got to watch Cliff.
I know, right? I should have been more slow and methodical, but I did donate $10 to the Hyde Park Food Pantry right there on IG to get the ball rolling. So please donate, because it's impacting people that I work with regularly, and it's really great.
Yeah. And you're surprised how many people you might see in the neighborhood or at church or what have you. And they're people that really need help. It's just amazing when you find out about it. You say, I don't believe it, because like they're like regular people, they're not proud about it. They don't go around advertising it, but they do go to the food pantries to help out their families. Okay, and with that, good, Cliff.
I was gonna say this one's done in a drive-through format. So the internal space that they rent from a local church, but it goes to the church's schoolyard. So you actually have to drive over one block, go down that street to the back of the church lot where they set up signs for the food pantry that you follow around, and then it's one linear line. One person checks you in on their tablet. The next person comes and takes your order right at the car. Then you pull up the car and you can get out and do the local shopping. And then the people who went inside come out with your order and your order number. They're like, hey, number 29, we're ready for you. And then you lead them to the car. And I cannot say enough words. And they're so respectful and so wonderful. And definitely they care about your privacy, right? So I just wanted to add just that I think they're freaking amazing.
Fantastic.
And that's it. That's my wrap up on this.
All right. Okay. And with that, we'll say good night to everybody. Thank you very much for showing up, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.